and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. And today we're going to be going over some plants that I would never buy again. And this is because in my experience, they just haven't worked out well for me. Some of them just grow really stupid. Some of them I just really don't like the way that they look. And some are just nothing but a pain. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna get nutmeg out of here. And we're gonna start with the first plant that I would never buy again. And that is the Monstera Peru. And this is one of two that I have, but this is my smaller one. And as you can tell, it was pretty thirsty. I did just water it. Okay, I understand that it looks thirsty, but it'll be fine. But the first thing that I don't like about them is that they grow so slow. Molasses moves faster than this plant. And the foliage does look kind of nice, but you can't put it in very bright light because it'll turn yellow like this and look kind of sad. And you have to have it in pretty high humidity for it to grow. And the third thing is that it propagates even slower than it grows. So I can't with this plant. I'm probably gonna get rid of this one in the spring. The other one I have is basically dead because I don't know. But I have a Pinnati partisa, which does okay. It doesn't grow, but it looks better than this. It doesn't have yellow leaves. So for that reason, well, for those many reasons, I will never be buying a Monstera Peru again. The next plant that I want to show you that I am never going to buy again is actually a Hoya. There's going to be a couple Hoyas today, but this is Hoya erythrina. And this one looks fine. It's okay. It's from the shop that we shall not be naming, but I bought it in the online auction. I'd never seen one in person before. I was like, oh, okay, they sunstress really cool. So I'm just gonna go ahead and buy it. It's not terribly expensive, kind of mid-range for a Hoya. But when I got it, I didn't like how it looked. It doesn't do it for me. The leaves are more like waxy and glossy, and the veining isn't like a Vitellinoides or an Irina, like a really striking veining. And so it's fine, but again, I'll probably be getting rid of this one in the spring. It just doesn't really do it for me. It hasn't grown yet either, which doesn't help when all of my other Hoyas in the cabinet are just taking off right now, and this one's just kind of sitting there doing nothing. But yeah, Hoya erythrina. Never gonna be buying this one again. The next plant I'm gonna show you that I'm never buying again is actually a pretty popular house plant. So this is a Philodendron melanochrysum. See it here. And it's a gorgeous plant, don't get me wrong. This plant is absolutely beautiful. The leaves are really velvety. It's like a Micans on steroids. It looks so nice. I love seeing big, beautiful ones in botanical gardens or like ones on display at nurseries. But the problem is that it just grows so stupid. This is the worst house plant. I swear to God, I cannot get a leaf that just grows properly. And this is the 5th melanochrysum that I've had. I have tried small ones, I have tried cuttings, I have tried top cuts. I tried buying this one, which was actually bigger. I chopped it all off, and it had semi-mature leaves. I was like, okay, maybe if I just jump ahead, get a bigger one, it'll be okay. It was not okay. It just started putting out a runner. It was on a pole and everything. And so I just said, hey, I have spent enough money on this plant. It's not for me. It's not working out. I've seen a lot of other people having the same issues as me with this plant. So I was like, okay, we're done. I chopped it up. The cuttings are doing really well. I gave away some. I'm gonna get rid of the rest of them in the spring, and that's kind of gonna be it for me in this plant. They are really popular. People love them. People are buying them all the time. They do really well in my plant shop. They're just not for me. And even this new leaf is stuck, which is very typical of this plant and philodendrons. So Philodendron melanochrysum, never again. Please, nobody let me buy this plant. I've tried too many times. The next plant that I'm never going to be buying again is also another Hoya. This is Hoya Croniana Black Leaves. And this just doesn't look like a Croniana Black Leaf should. The leaves are bubbly, they're wrinkly, they're misshapen. This is actually 3 plants from 2 different sellers, and nothing has gone right with this plant. It's rooted just fine. It's been growing on and off, but I just can't get any growth to look as dark or the right shape. I know that Cronianas are basically lacanosa, but it just doesn't look good. And I don't understand why people pay so much money for Croniana Black Leaves when they're, first of all, Cronianas are terrible shippers. If you're gonna get a Croniana, buy it in person because they do not ship well, even in the best of conditions. So this one I'm probably just gonna give away because it doesn't even look good. If anybody will want it in the spring, maybe locally, but I just can't. And I have so many lacanosas that are just doing really well and they look really pretty. So I'm just gonna take care of them instead, and this guy will make room for more Hoyas that I actually really love. Moving on to some bigger plants now. This is actually a new hybrid that is out on the houseplant market, and it's called Philodendron Summer Glory. Now, there are bigger ones available now, and I just showed one in my last plant shopping video, but this, some people say it's a crawler, some say it's a climber. It is a hybrid of Gloriosum and Macaulay's Finale, which both have very different growth habits. And basically the new growth comes in this beautiful, like a dark green with more orangey tones, and then it fades to basically looking like a Gloriosum leaf that's not fuzzy or velvety with a little bit of orange kind of on the backside. But this has grown 1 leaf since I bought it. It always looks thirsty, and it doesn't do it for me as much as I thought it would. The one thing that also really, really bothers me is the petiole to leaf ratio. Now, it's not as bad on this specimen because it's kind of small, but if you saw the ones in my last plant shopping video, it's just, it's too much. Like, the petioles are so long, but the leaves aren't super big to kind of match with that, and I think that's just because of the hybridization of the plant. I don't think it's the best 2 plants to be put together. I love the color changing aspect of it, that's great, but everything else about it just kind of seems wrong to me, and I don't really know what I'm gonna do with this plant. I think I might try growing it outside next summer because I do have another philodendron that I'm gonna show next that actually started behaving better when I put it outside. But honestly, if you were interested in this plant, because there was a big craze around it when it first hit the market, I would check it out in person. A lot of garden centers have it now. It is easy to find, much easier to find, much less expensive than it was. I got pretty lucky and I got this one for only like $30, but I know some people paid for a plant this size like 200 bucks. So don't overpay for it if you're gonna buy it. Check it out in person. And another thing too, especially if you sell plants, you legally cannot chop and prop this plant and sell it. It is under a patent from the original person who hybridized it, so that is another drawback, especially as someone that owns a small shop myself. I can't really do anything with this plant, even if I wanted to, which I don't because it grows stupid. So that is Philodendron Summer Glory. Next, I have a plant that is looking a little worse for wear, but it does live outside, and I have left it outside in freezing temperatures, and that is, excuse you, silly cat. Anyway, that is my Philodendron Gloriosum, and this plant, everyone tells me all over PlantTube, all over Instagram, that this is the easiest philodendron to grow. And I challenge them because this is the stupidest growing plant that I own, by far. Probably even stupider than the Melanochrysum. It came to me, it had a spider mite issue, which wasn't fun. All of the new growth would get stuck and either the petiole would break or the leaf would end up like this. And it wasn't a fun time. I put it outside and the leaves were smaller. This was the first leaf outside and then this leaf, but they actually came in fully formed. And I was like, okay, if we're gonna have this relationship where I have you, you're gonna live outside. And part of me is like, honestly, if it dies out there, don't really care. But anyway, that's Philodendron gloriosa. Okay, the last plant is a plant that I probably should never buy again, but I will. And that's gonna be alocasias. And honestly, we have a very toxic relationship. They're beautiful, they're gorgeous. I love them so much. You can honestly grow them without super high humidity. I know people say you should, but you don't have to. But the thing is, they just rot on me all the time. And this one, I was actually fortunate enough to get for like $1, so I don't really care that it's not doing the best. This is the other leaf. It's not looking great. It's seen better days, but this leaf looks okay. And it does have a little bit of new growth coming up, but they rot on me. They dry rot on me. The little babies that I grow from corms, they'll get 2 to 3 leaves and just rot, whether I repot them, whether I don't repot them, whether I give them high light, low light, high humidity, doesn't matter, they just rot. They just love rotting on me. So we have a very toxic relationship. I have a few that I've been able to keep alive and keep happy. I have 2 Maharanis, both live in Talenti cups. I have a silver dragon that's doing really well. That is my OG, she's my girl. She does great. I have a Mellow, which is doing really well. A Yucatan princess that I actually saved. I saved it from root rot. The corm was fine and I put it in a different situation and now it's got a leaf. Don't really know how I did that, but it's alive. I have a Macrorrhiza variegated. I have an Odora variegated, which is doing okay so far. Has a couple spider mites, I noticed, just like 2 little adults. So I do have it quarantined right now, but other than that, it's doing fine. And then I have a couple alocasias that I actually put outside, and they've also been outside with the gloriosum during all the cold weather, and they're doing fine. So I'm like, okay, you guys are getting kicked outside next summer because that way I can't overwater you. I'm a chronic underwater, except with these guys. They just, I don't know, they don't like me, but I'm trying new fertilizer on them. I am going with my gut and doing what's worked best for me, and that is moss-based mixes. That seems to be working really well. So I'm just trying all the things that I can because I do love them and I know I'm going to keep buying them, but I put myself at a limit. I'm not spending more than like $35 on an alocasia anytime in the near future because I can't. Like, just knowing that there's a good chance that it'll die on me, I can't spend a lot of money on them anymore. So when I saw this guy for $1, I was like, you know what, sold. I'm gonna take that home. So this is a plant that I should be never buying again, but I will because that's my toxic trait as a plant parent. But anyway, let me know in the comments whether or not you agree with me or disagree with me with all the things that I have said about these houseplants. I know, oh, sorry, bud. I know it's probably a little bit of a controversial video, but if you did like it anyway, give me a nutmeg, a thumbs up down below, and subscribe if you want to see more houseplant and gardening content from me and my best bud here. But anyway, thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.